to sent the question, are you the Messiah? Are we looking for another? Jesus didn't throw up his arms and said, oh no, not John too. John's not a believer now. What's going on here? He didn't do that. He didn't say that.
Operating the video room today, we got 3 cameras, and camera 4 is a computer. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, this is the computer. And these 2 monitors here, you get to you watch what you actually mix on what you're set at. Like right now I'm showing camera 1, right here is camera 2 here, camera 2 is hot. And I just flip this button here for camera 3, and then camera 3 is hot. And if I flip this up here, then I go to 4. And I've also got a monitor here with a headset so I can so I can communicate between the 3 cameras. I've also got a computer running behind me that I check every once in a while to record the message, sermon for the website. Okay, sure that's 4, camera 4 is hot.
Let's do that one more time. Be merciful to those who doubt.
Okay, go back to 3.
There's a guy by the name of Lee Strobel. Some of you may have heard that name.
I try not to keep on the same frame all the time.
Tribune, and he often ridiculed believers as just being naive. And then one day, his wife became
Going to camera 2.
She became a Christian.
2 is hot.
And so Lee began investigating
And then this is the mic, just turn my mic on and off here. This button here would signal the soundboard.
Eventually the evidence convinced him that Jesus was the Son of God.
If I need to get in touch with the soundboard.
Lee became a Christian. And because of the talent and the gifts that he had, he started to write books.
If I push this button here, it would flash lights on the soundboard. Where they would know to get on the mic.
It was a culmination of the 2 years of study that he had done. He's also written a book, The Case for the Creator, The Case for the Easter, The Case for Faith.
Go back.
Camera 1. The Holy Spirit has used those books to address intellectual stumbling blocks to thousands and thousands of people. You see, Lee Strobel could have conveniently continued to doubt. He could have lived as he pleased. He could have maintained his aura of intellectual pride. He could have pretended to believe. He could have gone to church and sat with his arms folded and tried to keep peace with his family. But listen, he honestly...
Sometimes you can pull double exposures, like right here I'm showing camera 3 and camera 1.
That's why I like the words of Frederick Buechner. He once said, doubts are the ants in the pants of faith. They keep it awake and moving.
Okay, going back to camera 4.
I like that. Get a little jumping, a little excitement going here. Not quite the Elvis move, but it's close.
Okay, back to
It
3.
keeps us moving. It keeps us
3
excited. Doubt is very beneficial if it motivates us to investigate the facts.
Going to
But there's another
camera 2.
observation that Zechariah learned that we need to learn as well.
2's hot.
And that is that doubt can be detrimental if it disregards the
Back to
evidence
4.
and is indecisive.
What's that?
If it disregards the evidence and is indecisive. Look at Luke chapter 1 and verse 19. The angel answered, I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and to tell you this good news, and now you will be silent and not able to speak until the day this happens because you did not believe my words, which will come true.
Switch that screen, I couldn't fill in my 2 lines.
If an angel comes and speaks something to
Camera
you,
2's hot.
believe it. Zechariah didn't, and what happened? He didn't believe.
Going to camera
And for
1.
9 months, he couldn't
hot.
speak. Now, folks, for a priest, that's a serious disability. Think about it. Last year, some of you may remember, I went through a period of time of about 3 weeks where I had laryngitis. And all I did was yell at you for a whisper. Do you know how frustrating that is? I can't imagine how frustrated Zechariah must have been. I'm sure that he was extremely frustrated. The only way he could communicate was to write his thoughts on a tablet. And so he comes out of this holy place after having seen an angel. And the family's going, what took you so long? Why are you so long? He comes out and he just flailing his arms around. He didn't know what to do. It's before they had sign language.
Going to camera 4.
So he's just throwing his arms around, trying to get them to understand. And so finally, he wrote on a tablet, I've seen an angel. Elizabeth's going to have a baby. But he couldn't speak. Folks, what I want us to understand this morning is a
Back
prolonged
camera one, and I'm
exercise
also
of doubt
doing a
is a
mixing back and
disability
forth
to us as well.
and recording
The first thing it
this
will do to
message
us
on 3
is it will
VCR
sour our
tapes.
personality.
On the
It sours our
videotapes
personality.
on camera
It
4.
robs you of spiritual joy. It makes you cynical toward other believers. It feeds off itself. Let me tell you what, if you were once a cynic, you're always a cynic. Because once you're a cynic, you think you got to live up to that reputation, and so you start to do the things you need to do. It's just the way it is. It becomes a persona.
Back to 1.
It robs us. It sours us. The personality. The second thing it does, it opens the door
Camera
for
2.
temptation. It
Okay.
opens the door for temptation. When you doubt, it's a lot easier to rationalize the moral behavior. If I don't believe Jesus is going to do what he said he was going to do, then I can do what I want to do. Thirdly, doubt negates our witness. It negates our witness. Listen, true belief is contagious. If you want to convince others that Jesus is the Messiah, that Jesus was born in a manger, then you've got to be convinced yourself of that. But when you're struggling with doubt and the validity of Christianity in your own life, you will not be able to convince others that you have that faith. It can, as a matter of fact, it can even nullify our prayer life. If you look at James, about the entire gospel this morning, or the entire chapter of the Gospel of Luke, here as we begin. And what I want us to read as we go through this story is to see the conflict between skepticism and belief, between the faith and doubt that took place in Zechariah's heart. So let's begin in Luke chapter 1 and verse 5. 1 verse 5. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah, who belonged to the priestly division of Abijah. His wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them were upright in the sight of God, observing all the Lord's commandments and regulations blamelessly. Now let's stop there for a moment. On the surface, Zechariah does not appear to be the kind of person who would experience doubt. He was an experienced, conscientious priest. He obeyed all of the Lord's commandments. And both he and Elizabeth, his wife, had a good reputation with people.
On camera 2.
But then if you look into verse 7, but they had no children, because Elizabeth was barren and they were both well along in years. Ah, here we are, the wound. There's the unanswered question. The wound in their life. They were an infertile couple. And they were living in a hyper childbearing culture. But even though they were surely disappointed because their prayers were not being answered about having a baby, they continued to believe in God. Or at least, they gave him appearance they believed in God. And they served him faithfully in the temple. And then one day, Zechariah was chosen to burn incense in a holy place. And his faith was about to be a challenge. Because we look at verse 8. Beginning verse 8. Once when Zechariah's division was on duty and he was serving as a priest before God, he was chosen by Lot according to the custom of the priesthood to go into the temple of the Lord and to burn incense. And when the time for the burning of the incense came, all the assembled worshipers were outside and were praying. I like the Message paraphrase says the responsibility that Zechariah was chosen for was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. That'd be like Disney calling me and asking me to come down and to read the Christmas story at Epcot Center during their Christmas celebration. I wouldn't be able to contain myself. Or if I got a call that asked me to come and do the presidential inauguration. Oh, what excitement. That's what it was like for him to go in to burn incense. The excitement was incredible. He wanted to be there. He needed to do that. I cannot imagine what that was like. It was a big deal. It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. And then verse 11.
2 is hot.
Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing at the right side of the altar of incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and was gripped with fear. Now let me ask you, how would you react? If you're in a sacred place, you're doing your sacred duty, and you look up, and you're not alone anymore. No doors opened. Nobody came in. You heard no footsteps, but there stood somebody else. Does the word terrified come to mind? Be very scared. It says he was startled. He was gripped with fear. That's how I would have reacted. I would have been gripped with fear too. But look what verses 13 to 15 say here. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife Elizabeth will bear you a son, and you're to give him the name John.
Camera 2.
And he will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth. For he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from birth.
3 top.
Think about it. Zechariah, in the presence of God, in the presence of an angel, being given, the angels tell him his prayers answered. But in verse 18, we see the surprising underlying plot for this story. And it's this. Zechariah, the faithful priest, doubted. Zechariah, the faithful priest, doubted. Look at verse 18. Zechariah asked the angel, how can I be sure of this? I'm an old man, and my wife is well along in years. Think about this. A godly, respected, religious leader doubting the words of an angel. Folks, I want us to hear this morning that we're going to look at some observations. And the first observation we're going to see this morning is very simply this. Doubt is an inescapable part. That is a smart, intellectual, intelligent, and prudent doubt. John Ortberg wrote a book called Faith and Doubt, and here's the words he said. Sometimes doubt can do good in us. It can motivate us to study and learn. It can purify false beliefs that have crept into our faith. It can humble our arrogance. It can give us patience and compassion with other doubters. It can remind us about how much truth matters. Doubt can be a good thing. Jesus taught his followers to doubt in some things. He said, if you hear somebody say that the Messiah has returned, that he's out there in the desert, don't you believe it? Because when I come, every eye will see me. Now that's Matthew chapter 24. Verse 26, and that's the Steve paraphrase, by the way.
Okay, back to camera 3,
You see, there are 2 types of doubt this morning that we're wrestling with. The first we'll call doubts of conscience. Doubts of conscience. The second we'll refer to as doubts of convenience. Doubts of convenience. The one is honest, the other dishonest. The doubt of conscience says, I can't honestly say that I believe when I don't. But I'm willing to examine the evidence to see if it's true. But the doubt of convenience says, I don't know if it's true or not. It's just a whole lot easier not to believe. Therefore, don't give me the evidence. I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to examine it. I don't want to know. You see, convenient doubt uses skepticism to justify self-indulgent behavior. But conscientious doubt questions and investigates in order to draw a reasonable conclusion. Folks, that's why Jesus never got upset with those who were honestly doubting. When John the Baptist
open out. Camera 1 now. Camera 1 is Canon. So, and they use this paper here in order to know exactly when and what is going to happen. Next will be our communion. Somebody give me heavy. Camera 1. Okay, when it comes back light, I'm going to get